You think you know your family. I thought I did too. But then, the harsh truth hit me like a lightning strike. My own sister, Jasmine, was secretly stealing the man I trusted, the man I thought would be my future, and she was carrying his child. 6 months of lies, 6 months of betrayal, all culminating in her walking down the aisle while I was still trying to grasp what was happening. Every sweet memory we shared turned into a bleeding wound. How could I forget the moments we promised to always be there for each other, only to be betrayed by the one I called sister? Everything shattered. Trust, love, family, all reduced to ashes of pain and deceit. And it gets darker. You won't believe it when I tell you Jasmine's schemes went so far as planning to poison me. The battles behind closed doors, the twisted mind games, the choked sobs of broken hearts mixed with fake tears, it all escalated. Each day, the war within my family grew colder, filled with manipulation, cunning, and betrayals I never imagined. But this is more than a tragedy. It's a journey of survival, healing, and unbreakable strength. I'm Rachel, and I'm here to take you through the darkest moments and the faintest glimmers of hope as I fight to reclaim my life and protect the ones I love most. It all began with memories. Warm afternoons painted with laughter, whispered secrets between two sisters who vowed to always stand by each other. Jasmine and I were inseparable, bound by years of shared dreams and unspoken promises. But that bond shattered the day I uncovered the truth. I never imagined betrayal would come from someone so close, someone I called sister. But there she was, Jasmine, secretly involved with Darren, my boyfriend, the man I believed would be my future. For 6 agonizing months, hidden messages, hushed phone calls, and deceit wove a dark web behind my back, corrupting the very foundation of my home. The day I learned Jasmine was pregnant with Darren's child and had married him while concealing everything from me, my world exploded. That moment wasn't just heartbreaking, it was shattering. The memories of our sisterhood suddenly felt like bitter mockery, lying in ruins beneath cold realities. Through the turmoil, Miles, my fiancé and steadfast support, remained my anchor amid the storm. Mom and Dad, once pillars of fairness, found themselves torn apart, caught in an unbearable struggle between protecting their daughters and confronting painful truths. I recall that fateful dinner, a fragile attempt at family unity where tension hung so thick it was palpable. Jasmine's cold, unreadable smile sent a chill down my spine, while Mom's anxious glances bounced between us, powerless to heal the widening rift. Inside me, a tempest raged, anger, deep sorrow, and an overwhelming urge to reclaim the shattered pieces of myself. The familiar world I knew crumbled, replaced by a battlefield of broken trust and fractured bonds. Yet, within this chaos, a crucial realization emerged. This story was not just one of betrayal, but a journey to rebuild and rise from the ashes. As darkness settled, whispers of the past collided with harsh new realities, signaling that the true fight had only just begun. The dinner table was supposed to be a place of reunion, a moment for healing. Instead, it became the stage for a war where words were weapons and every glance was a silent accusation. As Jasmine sat there with that cold, unfathomable smile, the gulf between us widened into a canyon of betrayal. Mom's eyes darted nervously between Jasmine and me. I saw the conflict warring within her. A mother's instinct to protect, clashing with a dawning realization that the truth she had avoided for so long was now undeniable. Dad sat stoically, but his clenched jaw betrayed the turmoil boiling beneath the surface. Jasmine's voice cut through the tense silence, laced with venom disguised as innocence. You think you know me, Rachel, but you don't. Darren and I, it's complicated. Her words were a twisted mirror, reflecting the chaos she'd unleashed. Every sentence was a calculated move, designed to shift blame, to confuse, to dominate. Miles squeezed my hand under the table, his silent support a lifeline amid the storm. We'll get through this, he whispered, grounding me when the storm threatened to overwhelm. Family friend Linda, who had known us since childhood, tried to mediate, but her pleas were drowned in rising voices. This isn't just about Darren. I finally broke, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and heartbreak. It's about trust. About the lies that have poisoned every inch of this family. The room grew colder, tension thicker. Secrets spilled like toxic rain, Jasmine's veiled threats, the accusations whispered between siblings, the parents' silent despair all writ large in the air. Later, behind closed doors, the sharpest weapon emerged, a hidden recording. Jasmine's chilling confession about a plan darker than I could bear, her attempt to poison me. Listening to her voice stripped of pretense, the room spun. The betrayal was no longer just emotional, it felt lethal. As emotions spiraled, I was forced to confront not just Jasmine's treachery, but the fractures within my own family. The once unbreakable bond had cracked, revealing raw nerve endings of pain, anger, and doubt. Yet amidst the chaos, I found a fragile resolve. This confrontation was only the beginning of a deeper battle. A test of strength, survival, and the fight to reclaim my truth. The days after the storm felt like walking through a cold, endless mist, every step uncertain, every breath heavy with the weight of what had been lost. The betrayal, the shattered trust, the family torn apart, all of it left scars that cut deeper than I ever imagined. But amidst the wreckage, a faint light flickered, the hope of healing, the promise of a fresh beginning. Miles became more than just my partner. He was my anchor, my compass in the chaos. His unwavering support wasn't just comforting, it was life-saving. I remember one quiet evening, long after the world had gone to sleep, he gently held my trembling hands and said, "We'll build something new, something stronger." Step by step. It was the first time I truly believed that the broken pieces might one day fit back together. But healing wasn't linear. Some mornings, the memories would crash over me like waves. Flashes of Jasmine's smirk, the suffocating tension at family dinners, the bitterness of betrayal. It wasn't easy to let go of the anger or silence the questions that haunted me. Why? How could someone so close wield such cruelty without remorse? And then there was the family, still fragile, still divided. Mom and Dad were caught in their own turmoil, guilt and regret shadowing their eyes. Their silence sometimes felt like another form of betrayal. Into this fractured landscape stepped new faces, friends like Sarah, who listened without judgment during my darkest nights, therapists who helped untangle the snarled mess of grief and rage inside me, and my children, innocent and full of light, whose smiles reminded me daily what I needed to fight for. Every birthday celebration, every quiet family dinner with Miles and the kids became a small act of rebellion against the past. A declaration that happiness was not just possible, but essential. Yet, under those moments of peace lurked the jagged edges of trauma. The healing was gradual, fragile, and required courage I didn't know I had. I began to understand that recovery meant more than moving on. It meant reclaiming my story, redefining family, and reshaping love on my own terms. It meant standing tall, despite the bruises, and refusing to let betrayal dictate my future. But just as I found a tentative balance, the shadows of the past threatened to resurface. Jasmine's manipulations hadn't ended, and the battleground was shifting from private anguish to public legal wars. When the storm finally broke in the courtroom, I faced a new kind of battle, one where truth, justice, and the wreckage of our family would be weighed under cold, unforgiving lights. Jasmine's betrayal had been more than just emotional. It had crossed dangerous lines, and the law was now the arena for reckoning. The trial was grueling. Miles and I sat through days of testimony, each word a piercing reminder of Jasmine's treachery. The evidence was overwhelming: recorded confessions, damning phone calls, the chilling audio where Jasmine admitted to scheming to poison me. The judge's stern gaze seemed to cut through the tension in the room, where every witness exposed yet another thread in the tangled web Jasmine had spun. As her lawyers tried to paint a softer picture, the desperate sister, the woman struggling beneath the weight of her choices, The prosecution laid bare the calculated cruelty beneath the facade. Friends and family were called upon to testify, revealing the manipulation and lies that had infected every corner of our lives. Linda, our longtime family friend, shared her heartbreak witnessing Jasmine's cold games unfold, while even Mom and Dad faltered under the weight of painful truths. Inside me, I grappled with complicated emotions. Vindication warred with residual sorrow. This legal victory was bittersweet. Justice came at the cost of irrevocable family fractures. Jasmine's sentence was severe and undeniable. No more freedom, no more control over her life or the children she once tried to use as pawns. Meanwhile, the aftermath rippled beyond the courtroom walls. My children were shielded, loved fiercely by Miles and me, yet the echoes of betrayal and loss lingered. Through late nights and quiet moments, I wrestled with the reality that healing was not immediate and scars would remain. Behind prison bars, Jasmine's world shrank into solitude and regret, her manipulative tactics stripped away. I imagine her alone, her power gone, defeated not only by the law but by consequences she never fully fathomed. The once confident woman reduced to shadows and silence. The aftermath of betrayal and legal battles rippled deeply through the hearts and minds of everyone involved, most painfully, the children who found themselves unwitting victims of a fractured family legacy. Watching my own children grow up amid the scars of this ordeal was both a blessing and a constant reminder of what we had lost and what we had to protect. I remember the quiet moments when my eldest would ask, in a trembling voice, "Mom, why is Aunt Jasmine not around? Why do people talk about her like she's a stranger?" Each question pierced me with guilt and sorrow. How could I shield them from the harsh truths without staining their innocence? The psychological toll was real. Confusion, fear, and sadness clouded those young eyes, and I knew that silence wasn't the answer. To better understand and support them, I sought help from professionals like Dr. Evelyn Harper, a compassionate child psychologist who gently guided our family through the maze of trauma. She explained that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting or excusing the betrayal, but about freeing ourselves from the chains of bitterness that threatened to poison our future. This insight sparked a slow and painful journey, not only for me but for my parents and siblings, who each wrestled privately with feelings of guilt, denial, and regret. Mom, often silent and withdrawn, struggled the most. I once found her alone in the garden, tears falling freely as she whispered apologies not just to me, but to herself. Dad, stoic yet broken, began attending counseling sessions to face the shadows of favoritism and denial that had torn us apart. Their gradual acceptance was as vital as any courtroom verdict. It opened the door for healing conversations that had long been avoided. Among these fragile steps forward, our family friend Linda became a pillar, hosting gatherings where open dialogue replaced silence, and empathy began to bridge old wounds. Even Jasmine's absence cast a paradoxical presence, her actions the catalyst for our fractured bonds, but also the impetus for our eventual growth. Forgiveness emerged as a lifeline, not just for Jasmine, but mainly for ourselves, an act of courage that required vulnerability and strength. It didn't erase the past, but it allowed us to reclaim our narrative, rebuilding relationships with a cautious hope of a future unchained from pain. Through this process, I learned that in families shattered by betrayal, healing is rarely linear. It is a mosaic crafted from raw honesty, shared grief, and the quiet determination to choose love over resentment. As the dust settled over years of turmoil, betrayal, and heartbreak, I found myself standing at a crossroads. Not just of my life, but of my soul. The wounds left behind ran deeper than anyone could see, yet within that pain grew a quiet strength, forged in the fires of loss and resilience. This was not merely a story about what had been broken. It was about what could be rebuilt, about the power of choosing love in the face of devastation. In these moments of reflection, I realized that love, true love, is not always given freely. Sometimes, it is a deliberate choice we make every day. choosing to heal rather than hate, to forgive rather than hold grudges, to protect our family rather than be consumed by the past. It was not easy. Every step toward peace was shadowed by memories that threatened to drag me back into darkness. But with each breath, I decided to reclaim my life and redefine what family meant for me and my children. Miles, ever steadfast, became not just my husband but my partner in rebuilding a sanctuary of trust and hope. Together, we created new traditions. Weekend hikes, storytime laughter, and quiet evenings where the past dared not intrude. Our children flourished, surrounded by love stronger than any betrayal could break. Even Mom and Dad, after facing their own reckoning, began to stitch the frayed edges of our family fabric, showing that change, even late, is possible. Linda, our loyal family friend, remained the comforting presence who reminded us that no great healing happens alone. Yet, this journey was not without its contradictions. Healing meant facing the shadows of anger and doubt, the moments when I questioned if my heart could ever be whole again. There were nights when the ghosts of Jasmine's betrayal echoed loudly, threatening to unravel everything I had fought for. But in those moments, I learned that strength doesn't come from forgetting pain. It comes from embracing it and choosing love anyway. As I stand here today, I see the story not as one of victimhood, but of victory. Victory over betrayal, over bitterness, over the temptation to be defined by past wounds. This story belongs to every person who has faced darkness and dared to step into the light, who understands that love is sometimes a battle, but always worth fighting. So, as this chapter closes, I invite you to reflect on your own stories of pain and healing. What love are you choosing today? How will you face your battles? Because, in the end, it is the choices we make, the love we choose, that shape our future. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. If this story touched you, please share where you're watching from in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation of hope and resilience alive. If you enjoyed this story and found it meaningful, please consider giving us a like. It really helps us know we're on the right track. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos like this. We'd also love to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps make this channel even better for everyone. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us on this journey.